the sprawling, post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, where the echoes of nuclear devastation still resonate across the wasteland, stories often hinge on choices, consequences, and the fragile threads of morality that connect characters to one another. The television adaptation has captured this intricate balance beautifully, blending character-driven drama with the ever-present danger of factions whose very existence threatens humanity. As Season 2 drew to a close, fans were left with both awe and trepidation at the direction the narrative would take, and careful observation reveals a subtle but crucial hint. One of our central characters may find themselves squarely in the Enclave's crosshairs when Season 3 begins. The Enclave, for those familiar with the Fallout video games, is no ordinary faction. Emerging in the second installment of the franchise, they have consistently been portrayed as one of the most dangerous and morally corrupt groups in the wasteland. Their history is steeped in ambition and hubris, with a vision of restoring pre-war America that justifies any atrocity in their eyes. They orchestrated much of the nuclear conflict, manipulated the Vault experiments, and were responsible for the creation of horrific creatures like supermutants and centaurs through the Forced Evolutionary Virus, FEV. Unlike other factions whose motivations might occasionally align with moral or pragmatic concerns, the Enclave operates with a ruthless precision, valuing secrecy, control, and absolute dominance above all else. In the context of the television series, the Enclave has been gradually established as the looming threat. Season 2 subtly set the stage for their ascendancy in Season 3, culminating in the finale's episode, The Strip. While much of the season focused on character development, survival, and the intricacies of the wasteland's politics, the finale contained a pivotal moment that, while small in appearance, carries enormous implications for the future. This moment occurs in the Enclave's base of operations, a place shrouded in shadow and secrecy, where a seemingly minor transmission sets the stage for a much larger conflict. Norm, played with nuanced intensity by Moises Arias, emerges as a central figure in this setup. Over the course of Season 2, Norm's journey has been one of awakening, responsibility, and moral reckoning. He has witnessed the devastating impact of the FEV experiments and has increasingly recognized the Enclave's malevolent influence. In the Strip, after narrowly surviving a Radroach attack inside Vault-Tech's old headquarters, Norm's actions inadvertently draw attention from the Enclave. The transmission he sends to his father, stating plainly,
"Dad, if you can hear me, what's gonna happen to our vault? Why didn't you tell me?"
What's going to happen to our vault is more than just a plea for guidance. It is a declaration of suspicion, a challenge to the secrecy and authority of the Enclave. From the Enclave's perspective, this message is a red flag. The brief scene where the Enclave receives Norm's broadcast is understated, yet loaded with foreboding. Alongside it, Hank McLean's earlier briefing, captured in the same moment, underscores how the Enclave is monitoring every thread of activity that could threaten their operations. Norm, though young and inexperienced compared to some of the more hardened characters, has demonstrated a courage and tenacity that make him a natural target. His curiosity, combined with his proximity to the vaults and his understanding, however limited, of the Enclave's operations, sets him apart as a potential disruptor of their carefully laid plans. The danger is not abstract. The Enclave's history provides a clear lens through which to interpret their likely response. This faction does not tolerate interference. Throughout the Fallout franchise, they have gone to extreme lengths to protect their secrets, often resorting to lethal measures to ensure the continuity of their experiments. If an outsider like Norm begins poking around in their affairs, it is unlikely the Enclave would simply ignore him. The narrative hints that their next move could involve orchestrating his death or, perhaps even more horrifying, using him as a subject in their own experiments. Either scenario places Norm in immediate peril and sets up a tense, morally charged conflict for the upcoming season. What complicates Norm's situation further is his sense of duty and moral responsibility. He has already demonstrated a willingness to act in the face of danger, particularly when it comes to protecting those vulnerable to the Enclave's schemes. In the finale, he rescues Claudia, dragging her to safety, and though the series does not explicitly reveal their destination, the most logical choice would be the vaults. Returning there would allow Norm to continue his efforts to prevent the FEV from spreading, fulfilling a personal mission to safeguard lives, even at great personal risk. But herein lies the paradox. The very act of returning home could expose him to even greater danger, particularly if the Enclave becomes aware of his location. This tension between action and consequence is central to Norm's character arc. Unlike other characters who may have allies or knowledge of the wasteland's intricate power dynamics, Norm's resources are limited. He does not command armies, nor does he have the political leverage or established network of contacts that other characters might wield. His advantage lies primarily in the Enclave's current ignorance of his exact whereabouts. This temporary reprieve, however, is precarious. The moment Steph, who appears increasingly aligned with the Enclave, becomes aware of Norm's movements, the balance of power shifts dramatically. The narrative sets the stage for a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game, where Norm must navigate the moral imperative to act with the tactical reality of survival. Steph's alignment with the Enclave adds another layer of complexity to Norm's predicament. Throughout Season 2, her character evolves from a figure of internal conflict to someone whose loyalties increasingly align with the faction's goals. This development positions her as a potential instrument of the Enclave's plans, capable of either direct intervention against Norm or facilitating his capture. The potential for betrayal, even among characters who were previously allies or neutral, underscores the high stakes of Norm's journey and reinforces the series' central theme. In a world shaped by moral ambiguity, trust is a fragile and often dangerous commodity. Yet, amidst the looming threat, Norm's moral compass and determination stand as a beacon of hope. The vaults, 31, 32, and 33, represent not only physical spaces of containment but also moral battlegrounds. Within these vaults lie innocents and those susceptible to the Enclave's experiments. Norm, uniquely positioned by circumstance and choice, emerges as the one person capable of intervening, preventing a potential catastrophe that could reverberate across the wasteland. His ability to act decisively, despite limited knowledge and resources, marks him as the narrative's moral fulcrum. This juxtaposition of vulnerability and moral responsibility is where the series truly excels in its storytelling. The Enclave, with their calculated malevolence, represents the external threat, a force of near-absolute control and corruption. Norm embodies the internal struggle of conscience, courage, and the human will to protect others. By focusing on his journey, the narrative allows viewers to explore the tension between survival and ethical action, raising questions about the cost of doing what is right in a world where morality is often subverted by power. As the series moves towards Season 3, several narrative threads suggest that Norm's confrontation with the Enclave will be both inevitable and transformative. The previous season's subtle foreshadowing, particularly the transmission of his message and the Enclave's response, indicates that the faction is aware of him not just as an individual but as a symbol of potential disruption. In this sense, Norm's personal stakes mirror the broader thematic stakes, the struggle of the individual against systemic corruption, and the consequences of moral courage in a world shaped by violence and secrecy. Norm's trajectory also emphasizes the significance of timing and strategic action in the wasteland. While his instinct is to return to the vaults to protect Claudia and prevent the spread of FEV, doing so without a plan could be fatal. The narrative hints that Norm must navigate this challenge by leveraging allies outside the vaults, assessing the risks of exposure, and acting with both caution and courage. His journey thus becomes a study in tactical morality, a balancing act between immediate ethical imperatives and long-term survival considerations. Equally important is the series' treatment of secondary characters, who further contextualize Norm's role. Lucy, who has discovered her father's moral failings, and the ghoul, aware of the Enclave's atrocities, remain geographically and narratively distant. Their absence underscores Norm's isolation, amplifying the weight of his choices and the significance of his actions. It is in this isolation that his heroism is magnified. Without immediate backup or intervention, every decision carries profound consequences, not just for himself, but for the fate of the vaults and their inhabitants. Furthermore, the series' careful attention to pacing and narrative tension ensures that Norm's potential confrontation with the Enclave will be both emotionally resonant and dramatically compelling. By allowing the audience to understand the stakes intimately, from his perspective and the Enclave's, Season 3 can explore the psychological and moral dimensions of conflict in a way that transcends typical action-oriented storytelling. This approach is emblematic of the show's broader commitment to character-driven narratives, where tension arises not solely from external threats, but from the interplay of choice, consequence, and ethical responsibility. In this light, Norm's upcoming arc is poised to be a defining element of the season. His potential targeting by the Enclave is not merely a plot device. It is a narrative exploration of courage, agency, and the human capacity to confront evil even when the odds are overwhelming. The Enclave's potential methods, whether direct assassination, manipulation, or coerced experimentation, highlight the perils inherent in taking moral action in a world dominated by ruthless power structures. At the same time, Norm's resourcefulness and determination offer a counterpoint, emphasizing the resilience of individual agency and the impact of personal conviction on larger systemic outcomes. Thematically, this confrontation underscores one of Fallout's enduring questions. What does it mean to act morally in a landscape defined by moral decay? Norm's journey, from a young vault dweller discovering the dangers of the world outside to a central figure potentially confronting one of the Wasteland's most feared factions, reflects a narrative arc that is both deeply personal and broadly symbolic. The story challenges viewers to consider the intersection of knowledge, action, and consequence, reminding us that even in a world where corruption and violence dominate, the choices of one individual can reverberate profoundly. Moreover, the narrative foreshadowing ensures that viewers are not merely passive observers, but active participants in the tension. The Enclave's awareness of Norm, Steph's shifting loyalties, and the FEV's looming threat all converge to create a complex, interwoven tapestry of suspense. Each decision Norm makes carries weight, and the audience is invited to engage with the moral, strategic, and emotional dimensions of these choices. This storytelling approach elevates the series, transforming what could be a simple action-adventure narrative into a profound meditation on ethics, courage, and the human spirit. Ultimately, the anticipation of Norm's confrontation with the Enclave offers a promise of narrative richness in Season 3. While the Enclave represents a formidable external threat, Norm's journey underscores the internal dimensions of heroism, the courage to act ethically, the willingness to face danger, and the recognition that the well-being of others may require personal sacrifice. This duality between external menace and internal resolve ensures that the season will explore not only the mechanics of survival, but the deeper questions of moral responsibility and the meaning of heroism in a broken world. As the series progresses, it is likely that Norm will face moments of profound ethical complexity, challenging his judgment and forcing him to reconcile immediate survival with long-term moral goals. The narrative hints that his decisions will have ripple effects, influencing not only the fate of the vaults, but also the broader trajectory of the Wasteland. In this sense, Norm is not just a character navigating danger. He is a fulcrum around which the thematic and moral weight of the series pivots, embodying the tension between individual agency and systemic evil. In conclusion, the subtle details in Season 2, particularly the Enclave receiving Norm's transmission and Steph's alignment with the faction, foreshadow a high-stakes, morally intricate conflict in Season 3. Norm's potential targeting by the Enclave represents a convergence of personal courage, ethical responsibility, and narrative inevitability. As viewers, we are invited to follow his journey with a sense of both dread and hope, understanding that his choices will define not only his own fate, but that of the vaults and the Wasteland itself. The series continues to explore the interplay of power, morality, and human resilience, and in Norm, we have a character uniquely positioned to navigate this complex landscape. Season 3 promises to test his limits, challenge his convictions, and illuminate the fragile but enduring power of moral courage in a world dominated by secrecy, corruption, and the ever-present shadow of the Enclave. In Norm, the audience witnesses not just a survivor, but a moral compass, a catalyst for change, and a testament to the enduring human spirit in a world forever scarred by the consequences of war.